Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest-running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome everyone to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 296, inching close to 300 episodes. It's been quite an amazing journey. Something that I really love doing every single week for you all, helping bring you what's new in social media, but not just like all that fluff content that's out there. For example, sometimes they add a little small feature to things that doesn't have a big impact on your business. So we want to make sure you're focusing on the right things. And so this week, we're going to be talking about Facebook audio rooms, Facebook live audio rooms, if you want to call them that. We're also going to be talking with a LinkedIn expert. A friend of mine, actually. So we're going to be talking with her here shortly. In addition to that, we're going to be also discussing some updates to Facebook Messenger. As you know, over the past few years, Facebook has sort of moved away from just having you publish things in the news feed. They've started to branch out into a lot more private conversations with people or in groups or places like that. And so they're adding more tools from Messenger to help you as a business make some transactions, move things faster. With that though, I'm going to go and bring on my co-host. I'm going to go and bring on Sarah, and we're going to kick things off. So Sarah, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. This week, it's all happening. It's happening. We're inching closer to 300, but the audio rooms that we've been talking about for weeks and weeks are happening, and some other changes, of course.
Definitely, yeah. And this is going to be a good episode. Who do we have as our guest this week, by the way?
So our guest, you had said she's a friend. She's a friend to both of us, actually. Viveka von Rosen-Martin, I have to say, is an entrepreneur who is incredibly generous with her time and expertise, and always willing to help someone out and share her knowledge. And of course, she has businesses like Vengresso, and she's an author, and she's a frequent speaker. And we're thrilled to have her here this morning.
Fantastic. So let me go and bring her on and we'll kick things off. So Viveka, great to see you. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Good to be here. Woohoo. Longest running. That's awesome. I just saw at the top 296 shows. That's fantastic.
It's been it's a lot of fun, and here's the thing though. A lot of people talk about consistency and, consistency is part of the equation, but it's also, being able to constantly work to improve what it is you're doing. Whether it's adding certain elements or like, for example, as Sarah knows, we've been really trying to tighten up the show a lot more. It's just doing these little things to keep things fun, but also making sure we're bringing the best value that we can. So fantastic having you on. Did Sarah give you, did she give you the best intro that you need, or is there anything you want to add?
Oh yeah, no, that's good. Let's get to the content.
Fantastic. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. Sarah, what are we going to talk about first this week?
Sure. So the big news of the week. Big news is that Facebook has tested their live audio rooms, and they did it with a splash. Being the host was none other than Mark Zuckerberg, and a lot of the executives from Facebook did a short live audio room on Tuesday. So this news is only about 48 hours old. And of course, the screenshots went up immediately after all of this happened. And if it looks familiar to you, it should, because the circles and the purple rings around the live speakers should be very familiar to anybody who uses Twitter Spaces, right? And we've spoken about this a few times with Twitter Spaces. But anyway, let's get into the meat of this. So the first test was on June 15th, and they filtered it through a Facebook event. And as you saw the little screenshots, the speakers appeared in the upper quadrant of the layout. And then what's interesting, sort of in the middle of that, it highlighted people that the speakers follow. So I thought that was kind of interesting that you see this social proof with some of the speakers and their connections. So you can see right in the middle there, the followed by the speakers.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And if you look down, you can kind of see in that lower right section, there's some little like bubbles coming up. So all of the Facebook reactions that we're accustomed to during live video looks like they're going to be part of audio rooms as well.
That's awesome. That's one of the things I missed about Clubhouse is like, you're like, yeah, but there was no way to give a reaction. So that's awesome.
Right. Other than flashing your mic on and off.
Yeah.
And on, right. And then you had
you're
to
even
be
up top. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like we saw with Twitter Spaces too, is that all of the great tools that these platforms have are rolling out with their audio rooms. So there'll be engagement, right? They have taken the time to really fine tune this. And even where it's going to appear in your feed, the live audio rooms, if you can flip back, Christian, it's actually going to show, that's a different screenshot. Anyway, if you remember how rooms appear as a banner across your Facebook feed, it's going to show the same. So it's going to say audio and video rooms. So it looks like that's where you'll be able to access that. And you'll see when people who you follow or your friends go live, either as an audio room or as a video room.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a good feature. So what do you think? Okay, so from a business standpoint, like what do you think about this?
I like it. I liked the idea of Clubhouse, but our buyer personas were not on it, and so, all my friends are positioning themselves as experts on Clubhouse, and there's just so much engagement that goes on and on and on and on and on. But A, our buyers weren't there, and B, it was so frustrating not being able to engage more as just in the audience. As a guest, you get to do more, obviously. So I love this with Facebook because yes, our audience, it's more on LinkedIn, but there's some of them are on Facebook. And I love that Facebook's brought in the features. I think it's, a next level. Now I'm wondering, I think Clubhouse was so popular because of the pandemic, and because people were just like, oh my God, I need human interaction. Are we a little late with these? Like, is it like, okay, this would have been really cool 6 months ago and would have lasted 6 months, but are we too late with these? Or is it something that's really needed? People love podcasts, right? So.
Right. And this is essentially a live podcast that I think can be playing in the background. That's how I see it. I listen to a lot of public radio. And I see some of these rooms as being played in the background. And my hope is that it will be available for replay after a time. I haven't really read what kind of save feature there's going to be on this. Christian, I really haven't seen any commenting about it, if it's only live at the time or if it's going to be available later.
So I haven't heard anything about that part, but I will say, so for example, they do have it where you can minimize the audio player and continue to be on Facebook. That's the first thing. So basically you could be in Facebook. It doesn't take over your whole screen where you can't move around. You can also leave the Facebook app and the audio will continue. That's like super
important. That's very cool.
Now there's a reason this is important. So this is also because it's only on the Facebook mobile app at the moment. So So if you're on the mobile app, you can have Facebook open. It allows you to do things in the background. They're also going to have it where you can tap on the speaker or listener and obviously choose to follow them. That part you highlighted, Sarah. There's not a whole lot of controls at the moment. It seems like that. But there is going to be like a drawer basically where you can get the reactions on Facebook. And they're also adding auto captions. That's another thing.
Oh, that's very
a big
cool.
one.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big one for accessibility, I think. And if people just want to have it playing off to the side or something like that when they're doing something else.
Or watching in the morning while their husband's asleep, or listening in the morning when their spouse is asleep, right?
Exactly. But I have within my network, I have some friends who have hearing impairments, and they've posted questions like, what's the big deal about podcasts? And you have to remember, not everybody is going to access the media the way someone who doesn't have a hearing impairment or a visual impairment has. So I think auto captioning is going to be awesome. I think another really key point that may make this take off is that it sounds like they're going to roll it out with groups first and then select celebrity or high influencing people, right? But groups, I think, is going to be game changing, right? I would love to listen to conversations in some of the groups. And it really, it kind of brings home everything. I don't know about YouTube, but my feed lately, probably for the last 6 weeks, has just been chock full of group posts, right? I hardly see any friends or any pages. It's just group after group after group after group.
Mine too, but that was only because I had it on the wrong setting.
They're changing it up. You know, you've got now have your favorites tab and you have your recents tab, and it's just change. But I think having that infinity group, you already have these built-in groups. You already have the interest. That's one issue that I had with Clubhouse, was that it just bombarded me with notifications if it didn't really know who I was and what I liked, right? But I already am part of Facebook groups and already have interests tagged on Facebook. So, and the whole algorithm knows what I like and do, so that it's going to offer me up some more live audio with that.
And we've got a lot of really good questions, by the way. So I want to make sure we try to get to these. So let me see if I can start here. So let's see, what do we got here? Let's see. So
Letitia, thank you. Best show on the internet. Thank you for that comment. That was awesome. And a super chat at the same time.
So Melanie says she kind of loved the Facebook audio beta. So that used to be around for Facebook, where you could do audio posts, which was pretty neat, actually.
That's right. Yeah.
I know, right? It was like, oh, we briefly knew
I forgot about it. Yeah, exactly.
Came and went.
So she's also predicting, though, bye-bye Clubhouse. What do you think? Is Clubhouse going to stick around? And I have two angles to this. I have Clubhouse. I also have podcast on my mind as well with this. So will this get rid of Clubhouse? What do you think?
I'm curious, is part of the power of Clubhouse, the pandemic, but also the FOMO, right? Because there are no recordings. You can't download it. So when you mentioned that earlier, I'm like, is that the differentiator with Clubhouse? I mean, it's already kind of dying. I know some people love it and they're getting a lot of work and business out of it. And I hope it continues for them, but I don't see it. I don't see it thriving and surviving with, with Facebook coming out, with Twitter already having, and with LinkedIn is coming out with an audio room too. So,
and Instagram.
And Insta, of course. Duh. So, which is ironic when you think about it, but anyway.
Yeah, I know. The one visual media platform, and they want to do audio, but
yeah.
They got to keep up.
Hey, you might as well try it, right? Sometimes Instagram is the sandbox for Facebook. Let's try these things out and see how it works. Yeah. So I think Clubhouse will probably be acquired.
Yeah.
But I have to say, with all of these platforms building the same tools, why would you need to buy Clubhouse?
Right.
The people. Why do companies buy anyone anymore? It's not even for the product or the service. It's for the audience. It's for the prospect or the people already using it. Yeah.
I will say so we do have a couple questions here, and then I have a question as well. So Letitia's asking, is this through the business page or a profile? I think it's just profiles right now.
It looks like profiles.
Yeah.
Which tends to be how they start a lot of stuff.
Yep. Start with a profile, then move into a business page. Obviously, make sure you get the users on board, because if the user knows how to use it, then it's immediately going to be, I would say, a win for a page at that point, because the user who's going to be managing the page anyways already going to know how to get around.
Right. True. It will be interesting with groups, though. When you talk about profiles, is the group a personal group or is it a page group, and how will that be defined? That'll be interesting. Yeah. So your page may get an audio room through a group, but we don't know yet.
So is this invitation only iOS and Android? What do you think?
It sounds like it's on the what I've read about it is it's going to be on the Facebook app. So they have not discussed whether iOS only or Android only.
Yeah.
So Facebook is pretty good about releasing everything to everyone.
Right. It could be one of those things also where when they finally do roll out live audio rooms to everyone, it could be one of those things that actually takes a while for everyone to get. I don't think they're going to do that, only because Clubhouse came out with this. LinkedIn is working on it. Spotify, by the way, also has their own room now, for their own audio room.
Announced it yesterday.
Wow.
And then Twitter obviously has Twitter Spaces. So if I were Facebook, I'd want to release this much sooner rather than later. So let's see. So a couple of other questions actually. So obviously Melanie says, she thinks it's going to take off. Letitia's question though here is, how do you see this tying in with someone who's offering products, services, or courses? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, tease it, have some live Q&A. I think sometimes with video, people are a little hesitant to jump on because you might be pulled onto camera.
Right.
That when I was first using Clubhouse, I had a group of my entrepreneurial network who we just started Friday morning Clubhouse. And it was basically like a live conference call that you could just jump in on. And we had a great time together. There was no pressure. It was early in the morning. No one had to put on makeup or worry about if you were out for a run or running the kids to school, whatever you were doing. You could just hop on. So I kind of like that about the audio room. And why I'm so excited about the group function, because I'm part of a few groups that I absolutely love. We share a lot of information every day with each other, and it'll be great to hear the voices behind the people. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, it's funny. This morning, I'm like, is this a tweet chat? Is this a live? And, because my hair's a mess and I'm working out. And I remember back, we were skiing, my friend Sue Zimmerman and I were skiing, and she was doing these clubhouses. And, we'd be walking around with our ski gear on, freezing, snot growing, dripping everywhere. Yeah. And it didn't matter because we were on Clubhouse and it was audio only. So that's all to say. I do think the audio aspect is going to be very attractive to people who are, to your point, afraid of the camera or just not prepared for the cameras. I am in many mornings. And so this is going to give an opportunity. And yeah, I also agree with Sarah and with you, Christian, that the ability to, kind of tease people with content. So if you do have courses, products, you can tease people with content. You can bring on special guests, just like we do on video. And it's going to be a great opportunity to showcase without selling.
Well, there's a reason why radio has not died in 100 years.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Radio has survived everything because that audio aspect is just a different way of us processing information.
That's right.
Well, and I want to add this as well, Letitia. So there are definitely other tie-ins as well. If you're selling products, services, or courses, you could even offer this potentially as almost like office hours. So it could be office hours where people can then go and join. Exactly. For example, like right now they go and join like a private Facebook group where they're talking with people, but it's, over text, versus, okay, then the next phase is, okay, they're talking with them over video. A lot of people don't like the video aspect. There's nothing wrong with the video aspect. It's just that some people are uncomfortable with it. So therefore they can be in the audio room, for example, and be behind an avatar essentially. So I think you could also use this for office hours. For example, if you are doing a course, you could always have something where, here's hey, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to spend a certain amount of time in an audio room. I'm not going to leave it wide open. Spend a certain amount of time where I can talk to my customers, for example, the people who are taking my course. So I definitely see there's a good tie in there. And then it's not out yet. So Facebook wanted to demo this, and I liked how they demoed it. I actually did. I mean, they didn't just like roll out a press release and let like a handful of people start using it. They actually use it themselves. So one other feature I want to mention, by the way, with something like this is if you are going to be doing audio rooms, you are going to want to make sure that, if this is mobile only, you're going to want to make sure you have a good mic or a headset that you're wearing. For example, you've got what Viveka's got on right now. For example, if I'm in my home studio, I can plug my phone into my mixing board here. And then Sarah's got a headset mic as well. So make sure you're wearing that. And that's because on mobile, the audio is not going to usually be very good. So you're going to want to make sure you get a mic that works really well with that headset. Start with the one that comes with your smartphone. And then you can always branch out into things like the Rode Smart Lav, things like that, because you also, this is the one thing about live video. The most important part of live video is the audio. And if you're getting just audio, the most important part of audio rooms is going to be the audio. So make sure you invest into a good quality microphone so that you sound the best you can. Now, one last question I have for you all before we switch topics. How do you think this is going to impact podcasts? Because podcasts right now, and there's two angles here. So for starters, I think, if I'm doing live audio rooms, there's no there's no redo. So everything is live.
Right.
People are getting they're getting my true self. So I have to know my material. Whereas a podcast, people can record those. And then, I have a podcast called Launch Your Live. People can go and they can, we can record that and we can do heavy editing on it. We don't do heavy editing, but how do you see this impact this meaning Facebook Live audio rooms impacting actual podcast? What do you think?
I see it as sort of that live engagement reaction piece that you can have, and then make it into a podcast and then distribute it out so that people can listen to it again. And that's when you can do your editing. I wonder if people will start simulcasting. If there's a way to simulcast, which you can't really do with the way Clubhouse was set up, you really couldn't do it. But with, I wonder if there'll be a product like StreamYard, but for audio simulcasting.
Or if StreamYard just adds, audio casting to it, because you can download the audio. And how many people use lives, download the audio, and then use it as podcast later? I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do that with this as well.
Right. And I will say this, you are going to want to, if you're using live audio rooms, for example, for Facebook, there are going to be ways to pipe in that audio.
Yeah.
So for example, right now, like I said, I have a mixing board right now that I use. I use a Rodecaster Pro, and I can pipe my phone audio into that, but I do need the mixing board, not just the microphone. I need some software to make essentially what's called a virtual audio cable, where, bless you.
Thank you.
So a virtual audio cable where it lets me route mobile sound into a laptop sound, and then out, for example, to Facebook and so forth, or vice versa. So there is going to be a little bit of a setup if you want to do that. You need software and you need some hardware. But for now, I'd say just get started with it when it actually gets rolled out. If I'm a business, how do I practice this stuff right now? What do you think?
I think everybody's in the testing phase right now. So if you want to test it out, go ahead, because everybody is at the same starting line right now. So go ahead and try it, right? When everybody else is trying it, rather than try to jump in now when so many people are, to try to jump into a podcast right now when you don't have the amount of equipment and software and experience that Christian has. It's daunting, right? You're very self-conscious about, is this good enough? Will it be good enough? And then just probably reprioritize it for something else. But right now is a good time to play with these new tools.
Yeah. It's funny. I think about LinkedIn and LinkedIn Live, which of course you still have to apply for. And
yes.
Right. And part of me is like, well, that high barrier to entry, first of all, who gets to choose? But anyway, that high barrier to entry is so that the people who start using LinkedIn Live have at least some knowledge of using streaming tools like StreamYard or all the other ones out there. So you're not getting a bunch of junk out there. On the other hand, we want to get out there. We want to start trying these different tools. So it's interesting. Will this, once they start delivering it to us all, will this lack of a barrier of entry mean that there's a lot of junk out there. How many people are going to be careful, to Christian's point, with their audio so that you're not getting a lot of static? I mean, you do have to be careful, I think, when you're launching on a new platform or a new technology. Just get as much as you can in order, and there will be issues and there will be mistakes, but at least you can prepare ahead of time. Just don't get on there and start timing. Everyone's first, audio room's about the audio room. Everyone's first blab was about blab, right?
Mhm.
Right.
So,
Right.
maybe have a
I'm
different
just testing
topic
it
in
out.
hand.
Yeah. Come in. I should preface that. Come in with a plan, with a topic, with intention. But I think people are a little more forgiving right now when we're trying out the new tools.
Sure.
Make sure your audio works. That was the biggest complaint, I think. Well, maybe the second biggest complaint about Clubhouse was that the audio was so bad because everybody's phone microphones weren't the greatest.
Oh,
I will say this. I think let's see. So, and we got really good questions here. I mean, just amazing questions from people. So Melanie's also saying people are sick of having to have multiple apps. So marketers and influencers are going to ditch Clubhouse and use Facebook audio rooms instead. I definitely think that could happen. My last parting thought on this would be, so even though we're saying, hey, Clubhouse is probably going to go away, here's what I would do. I would use Clubhouse as my testing product right now, because here's the thing. It's not that much different. It's different, but like, if you want to get comfortable, for example, start holding your own audio rooms on that platform, on Twitter Spaces, for example, as well, which we talked about on the show. Start hosting your show there. And then, for example, if it's on Twitter, the great thing about Twitter is you can bring in your audience that you already have on Twitter. So you can start to re-engage those people. On Facebook, for example, maybe you can start to tease people like, hey, I'm going to likely move this over to Facebook Live audio rooms when they get rolled out. In the meantime, check me out on Twitter Spaces. Or if you do want to stick with Clubhouse, stick with Clubhouse. But this is going to, again, why would anybody go use another product where they have to go and build that following when
audience?
Twitter and Facebook are already going to have this built in. So
it's a really good point, Christian, because there's definitely an art to moderating, especially if you're going to start bringing in other speakers and other guests. It's like a good live radio show. You need to have that moderation. And now is a good time to sort of lurk and learn, right? See what other people are doing and start to refine. How would I do this? How can I engage my group in an audio room? And what do I need as skills as the moderator for that?
Fantastic. Okay, so let's do this. Let's move into the second topic. Actually, this has been just fantastic conversation. So, what's the second topic going to be, Sarah?
Yeah. So second topic is that LinkedIn Learning has put out some tips, and this came out last week, which is perfect timing to have Viveka on social chat, right? So they have put out some good tips and reminders for best practices of using LinkedIn. And I think a lot of us forget about LinkedIn, which is unfortunate because it's such a vibrant platform and is growing. I think they were reporting last week that 26% growth in usage, I want to say. So they have put out some tips about pages. And if you're like me, I haven't been paying close attention to all of the changes that have been rolling out over the last 6 months because of all of the audio room news and all the other bells and whistles that are coming out on other platforms. So this is a great primer on get your page in order. And here are the things that you can do. So some of the highlights that really stood out to me are they remind you of the basics, right? The basics of what your page should be. And then also reminding you about the short and long form content that you can publish on your page on LinkedIn. And doing the other little things that we may forget about on LinkedIn, like hashtags so that your page is more discoverable, using events. I think LinkedIn events are the most underutilized tool right now and could be huge for people, absolutely huge for people. So it's really to get people to activate in a different way with LinkedIn and remind us about what all these great tools are. And I think this post is about just general basics about LinkedIn pages. I'd love to see, the mobile app has been phenomenal lately. So I'm going to let Viveka talk about some of this news.
Yeah, let's do this. So Viveka, yeah, what do you want to add to this? I mean, so LinkedIn, I gotta say, I like the fact that LinkedIn is telling people how they can grow their company page. A lot of people, they use they use old tactics, or they use just, hearsay that they've heard from someone else in some talk that somebody gave, which, probably traveled through like 5 different people, and then it's different, right? So how do you feel about LinkedIn publishing this, and what do they get right? What would you add?
Yeah, I'm really glad they published this. I think too many people have forgotten about the LinkedIn page because it hasn't been particularly effective in the past. But LinkedIn has made a ton of changes to their pages. And what I like about it, and what I think the article left out, was the differentiation between the of all the content on the page. So, we're used to the home page, which is kind of like, here's the about section, here's some of our content, and now we're good. But we've got a home, we've got my company, we've got about, we've got posts, we've got jobs, we've got people, we've got insights, we've got events, we've got videos, all differentiated out, all pulled out of the glob of content. And so I think it's really important for our content creators to start creating different types of content. To Sarah's point, like, events are really, really powerful, and you can start, inviting people to your events, and it stands out. And a lot of times it'll go to people's email, depending on how they have their settings set up. So you get a kind of an omni-channel approach to your event, so you get more visibility on your event. And I think people just don't even know that you can create and then invite people to your event on company pages. If you've got a live, and if you've got a company page live, which is really hard to get, we still don't have that. You can tie it in with your company page event. Of course, you've got a personal live, you can tie it into personal events too. I mean, all of that is really, really powerful. But where people are dropping the ball is, to your point, they created a page 7 years ago and they haven't changed it since. Pages are great for 2 things in particular. One, letting people know about your culture. It's not just a job. You shouldn't just be posting, jobs that you have. You should be sharing insights about your employees, pulling in information about your employees, having, customer appreciation days. Really give people a sense of your company culture through your page. And then the second thing is, you can use it as an employee advocacy tool. If you're not using, Everyone's Social or Gaggle-Amp or Easy Advocacy, exactly. If you're not using those tools, or even sometimes if you are, you can always go, hey team, here's a post, go share it. There's even a button you can click to alert your employees that there's a new post that's out. Or you can grab the link from there and share it in an email, or you can just tell your team, hey, jump on the LinkedIn company page, share a video, share a post, share an event, do it every day. But it's just such a great way to amplify the visibility of your company page. Plus, of course, anytime an employee shares content from the company page, the follow button comes along with it. So it can then grow your followers. And there's just so much life and vivacity to company pages that, to be fair, weren't there for a long time. They used to have cool features, and then LinkedIn, for whatever reason, took all the good features away. I think they were thinking we would pay for ads if they did that, which didn't happen. But then, then they brought it back. And now you've got product pages. I mean, there's so much richness to the LinkedIn company page. So yes, start by reading the article that Sarah and Christian have shared, but really just kind of dive deep. And then the other thing I would add is, take a look at the admin. There's a lot of depth and richness even in the admin panel, and start bringing on more admins, so there's not just one person having to deal with all of it. There's a lot of flexibility there as well.
So I have one other question on this. So how often should somebody be posting? So for example, I was reading through this article, and there's a section here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So LinkedIn is talking about, activating your people.
Yes.
And so they're suggesting, hey, notify employees of your most important page post to boost organic reach up to 1 time per day. What do you think? Is there a limit on this, or?
For sure. Well, so that one tool within LinkedIn will only let you do it once a day. Okay. You should be posting, 2 or 3 times a day, because the other thing, thank you for bringing that up, is you don't want it to be company news, our blog post, company news, our blog post, blah, 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 job post, blog post.
I think that's
right?
everyone's strategy, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. You want it to be at least 50-50 stuff your audience would be interested in that doesn't necessarily come from you, and then your blog post or your podcast or your whatever. Yeah. And I mean, Vengresso pumps out so much content because we've got 2 podcasts. We've got it used to be Vengresso Live, now it's not Modern Sales Mastery. We've got writers, we interview people all the time. I mean, we've just got so much content. It would be really easy for it all to be Vengresso. But what we want to do is pull in, some of our partners' content, some of our clients' content, stuff that our audience would be interested in. So it's not just like Vengresso overload. And I think that's a huge mistake that people make is A, they don't post enough, and B, it's all them. It's not a combination of at least 50. Some people say 411, 80-20, at least 50-50.
Right. We had this conversation last week too about how often should it be about you. And I equated it to walking into a physical store, right? You don't want a salesperson to say, "What are you here for? Oh, you want a mug? How's this mug? How's that mug? Oh, you don't like red? Okay, well, here's blue. Do you want something else in blue that'll match it?" So you don't want your social posts to be like that either, right?
Exactly.
So I do have 2 quick questions for you.
Yes.
One is about the short and long form content.
Yeah.
So you can really repurpose some blog content on the publishing tools for LinkedIn. And this has been around forever, mostly on the personal profile sides. So what's your take on repurposing some of your blog content as publishing it natively on LinkedIn pages?
Yeah, 100%. And they've expanded, and now you've caught me, because I'm not sure if they expanded it only for, I haven't tested it, only for LinkedIn personal posts, or if they expanded it for company pages too. So I'm going to have to test that, or someone else could test it right now. Anyway, they expanded posts to 3,000 characters from 1,300. So, more than doubling. So yeah, you really, with 3,000 characters, you really can get a mini blog post in there. And I think you should, because the algorithm, part of the algorithm is based on how long people dwell on that content. And so if they're reading through those 3,000, not words, characters, reading through those 3,000 characters, then they're staying on your page more, longer, which means LinkedIn's more likely to amplify it to your whole audience, not just, the 5 to 10% that it does. So yeah, I love long form posts, which are different from articles. Articles are on your personal profile only, and they really are. They can be up to 10,000 words if you want. And they kind of died at the vine until LinkedIn brought in subscriptions. So that's something else we could talk about at another time. But I love LinkedIn subscriptions because they're getting crazy visibility. But back to company pages. So what you want to do is we have what we call the anatomy of a post. You want to address your buyers. You want to let them know what's in the post, why they should read the post. If you've got media attached to the post, let them know what's in the media and why they should click through, listen, play, whatever. You want to put calls to action in there for them to comment, for them to share, for them to respond. You want to use your hashtags. You mentioned that earlier. You want to use maybe the 3 hashtags that your company is allowed to choose. If you're a leader within the company and you've got the creator mode, you get 5 hashtags. You might add a few of those, but you definitely want to use those hashtags for potentially greater visibility. And you want to use emojis and things to grab the human eye. You want that formatting. You certainly don't want that 3,000 characters as a glob. And all of those things help make that content more visible. Now, you don't want every single post to be like that, because that just be too much. Once in a while, you're going to say, hey, here's a great post from our partners. They talk about this. You should totally read it, and it's like 3 or 4 lines long. But once in a while, you do want that mini blog post as an update.
Right. Right. Great. I think hours and hours we could spend on this, right?
Yes.
Hours and hours. And we haven't even touched the mobile app, the changes to the mobile app, which I think are amazing. So
we'll have to have you back for something like that if there's any big LinkedIn mobile app updates. Here's I'm going to turn over to Sarah. Sarah, do we have anything else we want to add about all this, LinkedIn updates for company pages?
I think it's important. We're going to get into more in depth with some questions with Viveka, but I think it's really important not to ignore your LinkedIn pages, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're not a big company that's hiring a lot. I think a lot of us forget about it. And now is the time. It's summer. Sometimes that's quieter for a lot of people. It's a good time to get back into it.
Agreed.
Excellent. Okay. So where do we go, Sarah?
So where we're going to go, let's go quickly through our last topics for today, and then we can just jump right into some questions with Viveka. So another piece of news is that Facebook Messenger has had some updates this week. They are implementing themes, and some of the themes are centered around celebrities, musicians, the Fast and Furious 9 film that's coming out, but it's also got an advocacy focus. And everybody knows I'm the bleeding heart nonprofit marketer, right? So having those themes in your messages will be great for nonprofits. There's going to be some quick chat functionality so that you can quickly respond to frequently asked questions. And then what Christian has brought up on the screen is the payment links. So this, I think, is the most interesting one, that you can now more easily send and receive payments with links and QR codes. And if no one in the US if someone hasn't been to a restaurant in the US in the last year and seen how QR codes are being used as menus now, QR codes have been huge in Europe since the dawn of QR codes.
Don't get me started on this, by the way.
I know. And so they are coming. So they're going to be integrated. They really are so much easier for people to use. And it's just going to link right out to payment. So this is a great new improvement to Facebook Messenger. The other item for today's is that Twitter is rolling out mention controls. So this is another step for Twitter to increase the positivity on Twitter, right? We've got the prompts about writing negative comments. Their AI is now seeing and reading negative commenting. So to try to decrease online harassment and trolling, people will be able to remove themselves as a tag from mentions in tweets.
That's the one thing you've been able to do on LinkedIn forever. the one thing that LinkedIn did before Twitter.
And this is what that looks like, by the way, for those of you interested. This is the mentions feature that Sarah's talking about. It's controls. It's essentially, I mean, if you think about it, it's snoozing essentially, a user for a few days, things like that. It is nice, I guess, to have that.
I think if I work with groups in the gender equity space, and there's a lot of trolling. There's a lot of people who may not come from a privileged background that we do, and they get a lot of trolling. There's a lot of negativity toward women online. And so I think this is a really important step for Twitter to take.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, agreed.
So let's do this. We'll make sure we put all of those in the blog post, by the way. So those are going to go out in there's that topic. I think there's a few more. They're going to go in the blog post for this, that'll go out over the weekend. So you can check that out. But what I want to do is I want us to switch over to chatting with Viveka, because we had some great questions for her. And what we're going to also do, by the way, because this week's tool of the week actually rolls into questions with Viveka. Sarah, I'm going to turn things over to you, and we're going to just
sure.
Towards the finish, actually, with this show. So.
I know. So Viveka, I know you personally and professionally, but I have really enjoyed seeing how you have used LinkedIn video. And I don't think that everybody else knows this, who may be watching this or watching the replay. Yeah. So the big question is, how can LinkedIn video grow your business?
Yeah. And I'm obviously a huge fan of video. I'm on it right now. The thing with the pandemic and us working from home for so long is we really missed people, which is what we talked about, why Clubhouse was so popular, et cetera. And with LinkedIn, we're used to LinkedIn being the boring social media site. It's not even a social media site. It's like a business media site, right? The boring site where you basically have your resume up there and once in a while you post something. And sometimes we go there because we're like, okay, well, at least our prospects are there and there's not a lot of math quizzes, and there's not a lot of hate and vitriol there. So, I'll read I'll take a look at the timeline once in a while. But because it is a business focused social site, and because as businesses, a lot of us were stuck at home for a very long time, LinkedIn came out with a couple new video options as well as the ones that we know about. So obviously they launched LinkedIn Live before the pandemic and we still have to apply for it. The trick there is apply multiple times, apply many, many, many times. They will not give it to you the first time unless you're famous and not just internet famous. So apply many times for your live and show them if you are already doing lives that you know what you're doing. So I still think lives are a great way to showcase who you are, who your company is, what your areas of expertise are. It helps to elevate your brand, elevate your visibility. But I get that not everyone A, wants lives, or B, is going to get a live. So there are so many other video options on LinkedIn that you can use to showcase who you are, give people a good sense of who you are, above and beyond the resume, that you can easily do and add it to your profile. So for example, they've got the featured section, right? It used to be the content that you added to your summary section. So the old summary is now the about, and when you added content to your summary section, that was now brought up to the featured section, which, by the way, if you thank you, Darren. Which, by the way, if you now I lost track. I was talking about featured. Oh yeah. By the way, if you are a content creator, make sure to get that creator mode. You can go down into your dashboard and you'll see, if you have it, it'll say creator mode on or off. You want to click it on because it brings your featured and it brings your content up higher. So that which you are doing well, creating content, gets elevated on your LinkedIn profile. And it allows you to choose up to 5 hashtags, which when you use them in your content, theoretically, and it seems to be true, get more visibility. So once you've got that featured section up in your profile, add video, right? You can add a native video and pin it to the featured section, or you can upload a video if it's very short, or you can share a link to a video if you already have one. So if you've got if you're a speaker or an author, you've got a sizzle reel, get it up there. If you've got an about me section, get it up there. If you've got product demos, get it up there. If you've got an example of your if you've got if you've got an online program, get it up there. So you want to highlight that video in that featured section, and where before we would add it to summary and forget about it. It was kind of one and done. You want to keep your featured section vibrant. So that is one thing. Even if you're not going to apply for live, you can still add video to your profile in the featured section. The second thing that I would say is start using the video option more on your phone than anything else, but you can share video in messaging. So if you're connected to someone, instead of just sending them a message, why don't you share a video with them? They also have audio too. So either way, you can send an audio, or you can send a video message in Messenger, and that is totally going to differentiate you from everybody else who's spamming on LinkedIn right now. The other new option, and then I promise to take a breath. The other new option are these new video cover stories. So what I want everyone to do right now is pull out your phone, open up your LinkedIn app, go to your profile on the top left-hand side, click on the little picture of yourself, and then click on View Profile, and then see if there is an orange plus sign or an orange circle around your head, around your photo. The orange plus sign allows you to add, I think they expanded it now to 30 seconds, a 30-second video, which which plays where your picture is, right? So it's the Harry Potter effect. Here's your picture. And then it starts talking. Well, okay, you'll have a picture and then you'll have a second video, but it gets to be a 20 to 30 second video about who you help and how you help them. And so that's the other thing you want to take a look at, is see if you've got those video cover stories, because that is a great way to bring your profile to life. Video is all about bringing your profile to life.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've talked, one thing to reiterate, LinkedIn Live, for the most part, is on profiles. Businesses have to apply. And even as much as you use LinkedIn Live, your business hasn't been approved. So what would you say, what's the path for businesses to use video?
Oh, same. Okay. Yeah. So apply. But if you don't get LinkedIn Live for your company, you can absolutely use video on your company pages, and you can pin it to your page, to the top of your page. In fact, if you go to Vengresso right now, I think we have one of Mario's pinned, Mario's our CEO, pinned to the top right now. So you can have a video, you can pin it to the top, it auto plays. So that's a really powerful way of using video. You can create native video and upload it or share a link, but the uploaded native video gets a tad more visibility and a tad more engagement, and it auto plays. So if you've got an MP4, by all means, upload that under 10 minutes, upload it to your company page and get that video, get that activity in there.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I want to just do a quick jump here. I'm going to actually show what Viveka was talking about, by the way, with the 30-second video and the cover story and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah.
Actually. So I'm going to I'm going to switch to myself and then show you guys this. So Viveka, I'm going to let you walk everyone through this real quick.
Perfect.
One. So I think it's that. Yes, there we go. So this is my link. You should see this. This is my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
So obviously here's the orange
which
circle you were talking about.
Which, by the way, go ahead and scroll down again, because what you'll see is the live, the other way.
Yeah.
Up. Yeah. What you'll see is the live going on right now, because I totally spaced that. But if you've got live, it auto plays where your banner is, which is so freaking cool. And I don't think anybody else even does that. There's about a 20-second delay, as you can see here. But that is so freaking cool. Anyway, okay.
It is.
It's very cool. It is very cool. So and it gets people to your profile too, I think. So
it does.
That you can see and scroll through a bit.
Well, I think that was one of the biggest issues with lives before, is no one could find them. Like you go live, and unless you caught the Viveka's live thing and clicked on it, you didn't even know where to go to find it. I mean, it was impossible to find. So that was really cool, but that's not what you wanted to show us. So go ahead and show the screen again. Sorry.
Yep.
Keeping him on his toes.
So excited because I'm always doing the live, so I never actually see it. I know it happened, and I've seen screenshots, but that's the first time I've actually seen myself live.
Okay, so here, let me go back to this for you all. So
sorry,
there
we
go. So here's my profile.
No, it's exciting for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So everyone, pull up your phone. And so you see the little orange plus sign at the bottom. Well, either way is fine. The little orange plus sign at the bottom right of Christian's picture. Here, it's like the bottom. It's on his armpit. Essentially, it's in his, right there. So basically where his armpit is. If you click on that, you can add a cover story. So it's now a 30-second. It was 20-second. Introduce yourself with a 30-second video. And it's the first 3 seconds are going to play without audio. So what I did is I had a whiteboard. I don't even know what happened to it. I had a whiteboard and I held it up and I'm like, hashtag Vengresso live something. Prospect better, sell more. That's our tagline. So I had that covering my face. Then I pulled it down because that was like, okay, people, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the indicator to click on the ring and play the whole video. But you've got 30 seconds to tell people who you help, how you help them, why they should work with you, and who you are. And it brings, and I don't think any of the other socials have anything like it. So LinkedIn came out with something new.
It's a very good feature, actually.
It is. It's very cool.
It is. It's a little different because, you do see it and you're like, okay, what is that? But it does make me want to check it out. I mean, it's flashing.
Right.
It's got the like red flashing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. No, very good feature. So
right.
Cool.
I love these tips. And actually, in the same vein of keeping Christian on his toes, I'm going to fold in my last question to Viveka with our tool time item of the day, which just happens to be a book written by Viveka von Rosen-Martin, updated for 2021, which is 101 Ways to Rock LinkedIn. So you can get it. You can get a Kindle version, audio version, print version, of course. For
get
those
the free version. Get the free version. Let me send the link so y'all can get the free version.
We could certainly add that to the blog post in the show notes too, for sure.
I'd love for you to pay me for it, but if you don't want paper, get the free version.
Definitely, yeah. And if you have that link, if you want us to put it in the article, just let me know and we can put that in the article that'll go out over the weekend.
I'm putting it in chat right now.
Putting it in chat right now. And what we said at the top of the show is that Viveka is so generous with her time and expertise. It's just one more example of it. So as a closing question and tool time teaser for your book, what are three things, right now, June 17th, it's June 17th. What day is it?
Yeah, I know.
Whatever day it is. June 19th, right? No, June 17th. Woo! Brain
17th. Yeah.
Turn on. It's 17th. So what are three things that people can do what are three things that you would recommend people to do today with LinkedIn?
Cool. Yeah. So for both your company page and for your personal profiles, and if you've got employees, their personal profiles too, you want to switch those from being resume-like or product page-like to resource. Your LinkedIn profile needs to be a resource for your buyer. So instead of focusing on, I have 45 years of blah, 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 no one cares. I'm a quota-crushing sales guy. No one cares. Who do you help? How do you help them? Give examples of how you've helped people. Get testimonials in there. It's almost like a sales page, right? From the background image to your headline, which shouldn't be title at company, because you have 220 characters now. So you want to tell people who you help, how you help them, let them know your title and your company, but make sure that you're focused on the resourcefulness of your profile. Get your resources into that featured section, which I mentioned earlier. Some of it's video, even better. There's a really cool tool. So that's one tip-ish. There's a really cool tool called name pronunciation, which is a 10-second elevator speech. And since we were talking about Clubhouse and Facebook, it's an audio feature that's shows up. Again, go to your LinkedIn profile on your mobile device. In the profile section, you'll see name pronunciation. Yes, pronounce your name, but also it's 10 seconds long. So mine's something like, hey, this is Viveka von Rosen with Ingresso, helping B2B companies create more quality and qualified conversations on LinkedIn. So there you go, 10 seconds. And so you have 10 seconds to get people's attention. And Christian understands this. Also tell them how to pronounce your name, first or your last name, right?
Yes. Absolutely, right?
Exactly. And then my third piece kind of pulls that all, use that same formula, who do you help, how you help them, who are you, on your video cover stories, which we've already talked about. And then bring that into the about section. You want to, again, let people know who you help, how you help them. You've got 2,000, sometimes it's 3,000 characters to get in depth on that. You can pull in mini testimonials. And like I said, make sure to get that content into the featured section that supports your claims of who you help and how you help them. But stop using your LinkedIn profile as a resume unless you're looking for a job.
Exactly. No,
that's great.
Excellent.
That's excellent.
Okay, so I have do we have any other questions for Viveka, Sarah?
I think we're good. I haven't checked the comments that seem to be blowing up a little bit. We have dropped the link in the comments for those who are rewatching. The blog post will have the link to Viveka's book as well, as a recap of all of this. Today's show, 296.
Let's see. So, how about this? We'll put everything in the blog post, but Viveka, one last question for you. What's the best place for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, probably LinkedIn. So literally just Google LinkedIn expert. My LinkedIn profile, which is linkedin.com/in/LinkedIn expert, should be, first or second thing that shows up. Just make sure that you tell me that you saw me on this show. Because if you send me an invitation, I'm at my 30,000 limit. So if you send me an invitation to connect and I don't know who you are, I probably won't accept it. But if you're like, yeah, I was, hanging out with you and Sarah and Christian, and I commented on the show, and I'd be like, yeah, totally, let's connect. And I'll kick somebody out so I can get you in there.
Awesome.
Also, you just go to Vengreso, Vengreso. There's an about page, so you can always book time with me if you've got some questions.
Very cool. And Sarah, what's the best place for people to get in touch with you as well?
Best place to find me across social media is at Sarah Monroe VT.
Awesome. And I'm Christian Karasiewicz, and I'm at Social Chefs for the Social Chefs brand across all the social channels. Just a couple of quick notes. Social Chatter episode 296 is going to be published over the weekend. We got a blog post that'll incorporate the video along with some of the topics we didn't actually get into. For example, there are a couple of Twitter topics. Again, they're important, but the main thing we want to talk about was, we want to talk about Facebook Live audio rooms, and we wanted to talk with Viveka about LinkedIn. And, she shared some really great advice there. There's also an Alexa flash briefing version as well. So if you want the 7 to 10 minute, maybe even 5 to 7 minute condensed version, you can check that out as well. That's available on all your Amazon Alexa devices. Don't forget to check out Viveka's book as well, 101 Ways to Rock LinkedIn. You can get that either from Amazon, or you can go to her website, vengreso.com. Actually, there's a landing page I put here. And then just a quick recap. Next Thursday, we've got Kirk Nugent joining us 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/social chefs, or over on facebook.com/social chefs as well. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Viveka, absolutely loved having you on. Just so much useful information, just great tips. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
With that, we'll see you all next Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.